Do you want to say hi?
Say hi.
Hi.
Can you say, I'm Killian?
I'm Killian.
I'm Kara.
I'm Chris.
And we're the Midnight Babes! Woo! Good job!
Oh, gosh.
Do you want to say anything, at all?
No, now he's shy.
You don't want to talk now?
Okay, Stinky. Hold on, we're back. Finally.
We're back! We made it!
Oh my gosh. It's going to be a chill episode recording because it's been a while and it's been a hot mess.
We've got some backlog.
Oh my
I
God.
played a part.
Obviously, you're going to hear my kiddo. It's just how it is.
That's life.
It's life. It's just how it's going to be.
It
So
is.
you're
It's
gonna
what
hear,
it is.
You're going to hear it in the
Mama and
background.
Kara.
Mama and Kara.
I played at the park and she did it.
Yeah.
Played
you
at the park
fuck-
yesterday.
I played
Did
a
it.
part at the slide.
That
At friends.
slide. Is that
Yeah.
your favorite? The slide? Or
At friends.
Yeah, and he saw some
Friends.
friends. He made some
Aw.
friends.
Friend is playing it at the device.
I like
What
that.
is?
So while we're starting with this one,
But
maybe
yeah.
we should do our funds one.
Oh, they should do it like a ramble, yeah, because
Yeah.
that'll get it out of his
Like
system
this.
too.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! So it's been almost a month now.
Almost a month.
But
Yep.
we've had like surgeries. We've had massive sickness, like with the entire
Yeah,
families. We've
yeah.
had
Both the kids
Both
and our
kids.
families have been
Oh my
sick.
God.
Like we've been sick, and it's just like life.
sometimes you just need to take a month break, and it is what it is. So
Yep. But we came back.
we're here.
We came back.
We're
That's
here.
important,
Yes.
right? Like we showed up.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
That too.
Exactly how I feel, dude.
Yeah.
You know.
Uh-huh.
We were discussing the new Bluey episodes out
Oh
this
my God.
morning. Did you see that shirt I sent you on TikTok?
Yes.
The metal muffin shirt.
Yes. No, I saw the muffin one, and then literally after I watched that from you, I saw some guy get that like muffin all in metal on like a tattoo on his hand, and I was like, I want that so bad. I
It's just
love
like the
Muffin.
I do too. It's the
I love
energy
Muffin.
with her. You're like,
Yes.
yeah.
The one where they're on FaceTime and she's just jetting. I'm like, yeah, facts.
Hi.
Hi.
My child, everyone.
Hey, hey.
What's been new? What have we been doing?
Well,
Since last time.
we ran through Crescent City like we had nothing, like no life to live
At
during
all.
that time.
At all.
And now I'm like, what do we do?
Yeah. The ones that you told me to read, Jones, and then the Welcome to... I finished
Yes.
Welcome to Nightmare Island last night. No, night before.
Nice.
It was good. It gave me such 13 movie vibes.
like
and like we are going to review
13
that one.
Ghosts,
Yeah.
like plus Jurassic Park almost. I was
It's
kind of like,
It's L.
I was like, I'm not sure how he's gonna make this work, and I thought that there was gonna be a
careful,
lot of like
Come on.
build up to getting there, but he just was
It was
like,
there.
"You're in.
Yeah.
Here's the story. We're there." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, okay." But I thought, I'm trying to like pick authors that we really haven't heard
Yes.
from.
Yeah.
And trying to like read their books lately is kind of where I've been outside of Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah.
So
No, that's too loud.
I don't know. I really enjoyed it, and I liked Jones 1963 better.
Mm.
I knew
did
you
like-
were gonna like Nightmare Island
Yeah.
more
We can't play with that up here, honey.
because I also just knew it was like your
Your-
type of book, right?
Yeah.
So I thought it was funny. I was reading it and I was like, oh man, this like Christina would be on this tour,
Because I
right?
love Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I was like, you would be there. You would be like,
I would. As long as
hook me up with
everything
the
was
bracelet.
working- if everything was working correctly.
yes.
Yeah. No, we definitely need to review those books because they were good. But the only thing that really got to me, and I'm not going to try and go into too detail now because we want to review them, but it's how he portrayed Jones in Welcome to in Nightmare Island than how he was in Jones 1963.
Did you finish Jones 1963? Okay.
I get what he was saying at the end, but I was like, keep the top hat? Why did you change from a bowler hat to a top hat?
Yeah, so that was weird to me, and I don't know if that has something to do with, like, the island, like, or what they I don't know, but, like, you'd think as a ghost or, like, a spirit, you would just still be wearing, like, the trench coat.
And he had the mallet, but I was like, where's the top
hat? I
it's
know.
Little things like that where I'm like, consistencies, you know?
I did love, though, when they're, like, because I read 1963 first.
Same.
And, like, I thought it was just crazy fun.
It was good.
Because you're, like, kind of rooting for him.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's not great shit. So you're like, yeah, dude, do it. Like, and then at the end, you're like, bro, you gotta stop, man.
Yeah.
You're like, you gotta stop this. But at the same time, you're like, don't. So when they showed him as, like, their, like, second ghost or whatever, I was like...
Okay, so, like, speaking of 13 Ghosts, like, I absolutely love that movie. I love it so, like, we've watched it, right? Yes. The Jackal.
Yep.
Oh, my God. And I love how they portrayed all the ghosts and how he wrote the ghosts in Nightmare Island with Bertha and the child.
Yes.
I was like, oh, so that's the mom and the big-ass kid in 13. And then, Javier. Like, yeah, they had, like, little special power things.
Yes.
But I'm like, who would that...
Who would that match to in 13 Ghosts or in the book?
The, oh my God, in 13 it was the big guy who ends up killing
I haven't seen it in so long.
like, he was the really tall one and kind of looked like he had, like, a flat head.
But
he was, like, massive anger.
I know
you
who
like,
you're
breaking the
talking
spines.
about.
Like, that's who Javier reminded me of because of the anger thing. So I was like, just trying to like pinpoint. And okay, the question, I don't know if he's gonna write a third book to like kind of fulfill with Nightmare, because Mabel, why is she showing him all this?
I thought that was
And like
so
let them get into the
strange
boat
for a spirit.
Yeah.
And one that is not kind, right? To be like locked on this island with like the worst of the worst. I was kind of like, why is she
I love that she was a
showing?
bookworm.
Yeah, but I was still just as confused though. I was like, why would she do this?
Because she's saying, oh, she puts you into like whatever these are. It can be good or bad, but like whoever gets away, like you're gonna be mentally fucked up. But she was allowing Josiah, right?
Jonah, yeah.
Jonah.
To see the past and then
like,
the
where
how
to
to
go.
get safe. And I was like, but if she's the like malevolent spirit,
Yeah.
why would she be doing something for the greater good?
Yeah.
So like, is there something to come of that?
I think like reading the epilogue and like how else it was kind of going. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, where is this? And is Mabel coming back at some point?
She should.
Yeah.
In my opinion. We could just make this our Jones and.
Do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, like we're already kind of like talking about.
This is true. Why not?
Okay.
All right, we're gonna switch gears.
All right. I mean, we could.
I can intertwine them. I can edit.
You got skills. But yeah, I really liked them. It's Devin Cabrera. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong,
Yeah.
Devin. But I really liked them. I actually bought Jones 1963.
The internet not work for you?
Actually bought the book because I was like, this is one I want to read again, and it wasn't like I wanted to read it again because like I love the horror. It was more of like the way the character devolved so fast.
Yes, but you know what it reminded me of? So we're gonna stick with just Jones 1963 right now.
And then we'll
like dive more into Welcome. So
yes.
I'll just kind of like edit those out. So starting from the beginning. For Jones 1963, Devin Cabrera, I really enjoyed his writing style.
I did too.
It sucked me in.
It's quick.
Yes.
You're like there's no like bullshit at the beginning.
No.
It's very much like necessity information, story.
Yes.
And I was like, love it.
Cool. Mm-hmm. I super enjoyed it, and I think what kind of threw me off is I didn't know, like, hello, it's in the title, but I didn't know what year it was.
Yeah, like, and you kind of pick it up as you're reading very quickly. It is though, like, okay, it's in 1963, but I guess I thought like the year was gonna have more to do with the book, and it didn't really
doesn't
have
matter.
much to do
It
with
was
the
like
book.
a little thing. I only picked up on it because when he said, "Oh, I enlisted and I'm going to Vietnam," and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
And they're not like using cell phones, right? Like he has
No.
to like go to his girlfriend's house, you know, like. And there's a lot of like real life issues in this book, like bullying at school, you know, like an abusive parent. Or parents,
yeah,
plural,
in this case,
or you know, just the mom ignoring, you know, the abuse. And it was just like, so there was like parts of this where you like feel for Jones, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, like I see why he did that. And then he like gets a taste for it, and you're like,
okay,
but it was still fun because I don't expect an author to kill off a child in a book so brutally.
No. I was like, oh,
and then he did, and I was like,
that's where I was. Like,
I like you, dude. I mean,
for that section of that book, I ended up staying up until like 1-2 in the morning because I just was in
flipping,
it, right?
yeah. You're like,
and that part happened, and I literally sat up in bed. I was like,
he did not
We're
kill
going
off
there.
the little kid, and you're like, yep,
Definitely
he did.
did.
Like, I mean, they're all children, like they're high school kids, but she's got like this specific scene, like a little sibling,
Yeah.
and he's like hiding
He's
under
like
the bed.
8.
He's an innocent, right?
Yes.
This guy doesn't care.
No, he is gone. It's just something completely flipped with like, because it's all like revenge based. And what made me think about, I'm like, and agreeing with you is like, that shit happens. This is how, like, if you think about it now, the school shootings.
That's literally what I thought of when I read this
Yes.
book.
Yes.
It was like what we see today in the 60s.
And I think that what's worse, though, is the fact that he does have abusive parents, and it's a small town. Everyone knows this family.
And
but
that they're abusive.
They're judging the kid off of his family. His parents.
Like, just because you were grown up, you didn't choose that life, you know?
And he was trying to be better. He was going to enlist because he had his brother who unfortunately died.
He wanted to make his brother and his dad proud. Like,
there's no way
he was ever gonna make his dad proud.
No.
Dad was crazy, but
I was just like shocked that Daddy wasn't the first to go. Honestly,
so was I, because with the buildup with Dad, it's kind of like if he's gonna snap, this is the moment, and then it didn't happen, and you're kind of like, okay, and Mom's like, get out of here, and then he has his moment of snap, but it's not a true snap.
No.
I mean, he watches him leave his girlfriend's house. He hides in the car. Like, and the whole time he's like getting excited about it, and like as a reader you're like, well, I'm kind of excited too.
Yeah.
But I'm also like nervous, and
I was like, my anxiety was up because I had nerves. I was like, you're gonna get caught, especially him being in Robbie's house, and then like
beating him,
like, and it was brutal. And I was like, you know what, Robbie, though, you're
with
a piece
that
of
mallet.
shit. I was like, I can't say that I don't blame him.
I'm not super mad here.
No.
Now, like, when we got to the end and he'd like gone after all of the bullies and like really had like this taste for it, that's when it took that like really dark turn of like him playing with the bodies and
having
like
like
blood.
in that family, was it Kyle's family in the circle, and he's
Yeah,
just sitting in the middle
like
like with the blood, singing
like,
to himself.
yeah,
like,
they like
you're
couldn't
going
even
crazy.
like get his attention because he was so
No.
absorbed in his own world, and it's just very dark. I was like, this is fun.
Yeah.
And I am like, I think I told you, like, I read this one in like one sitting because I started it, and the way he writes, it's just like you're there, and he doesn't really let up. And I felt like the same with Nightmare Island.
Yeah. I will say, like, I had to, at one point, it took me, I think, 2 or 3 days to read these books, just because I read at night. That, you know, that's just how it's been lately. And so it does take me a while. And then, like, I realized I need to put the book down. Because I'm reading this page over and over.
And
like,
not absorbing.
But my issue is when I do that, that's when my dreams kick in, because like I'm being sucked in.
And you're trying to finish or fill in the blanks that your brain has. I know exactly what you're saying.
So, at first reading, at least with Nightmare Island, I had to put it down. Like, I cannot read this right now. It's too but I had to put it down because like I for some reason lately, sidetrack here a little bit, at around like when I'm reading, like literally at midnight, I'm like, I'm thirsty. Okay, cool. I get up and get a drink, but I don't turn on the lights. I use my flashlight on my phone, and that's just who I am. But then I'll go and get a drink, and then I'm like, okay, now I want to smoke, so I'll go outside and smoke, and then I come back into the bed, but then I go lay back down and kind of get comfy and try to read again, and I'm like, now I'm a little spooked because I just walked through my house
all in the dark and stuff. Yeah, no.
And especially with Nightmare Island, it was.
Well, and it's like dark on the island.
Yes.
They like lose power. You're
So,
like,
like with Jones, I didn't have that. It was more of that like anxious. You're gonna get caught. What is gonna happen?
You're getting
like,
caught, dude.
It's
like,
that you're gonna get caught.
and he does.
He does, but I mean, I think that's because like with Jones.
Yeah, it's more like the anxious. Like, is he gonna get caught? And
Yes.
like, how much further
Like,
are you
how
gonna
further is this
snap?
gonna go?
Like, yeah, like.
And also, come on, with those cops, with the captain, I'm like, I know he did a sweep, but you did not do a full sweep. And I kept having to think, this is in the 60s. They weren't
I
very
kept
smart.
having to remind, and it's a small town police force, so I really had to put myself in like the mind of the documentaries that I watch, where like the cops have royally effed up because they just weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
Now like when Jones was like hiding outside of the window.
Oh my God.
And then the cop was like, when he got to his car, he looked up at the window.
And
I was like, he's still there. He wasn't. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this author, man.
So all this with Jones, it all started with Robbie, Kyle, Max, and Carol.
Yes.
So it was 3 boys, 1 girl.
One
and
girl.
they've been picking on Jones since...
Relentlessly.
Yeah, but like since... Not even high school, like prior to high school, like
'Cause,
small town.
Yeah, they've always known that like their family is lesser than.
Yep, and Robbie was the child of the mayor.
Yep.
The son of the mayor.
Who was messing with his girlfriend.
But Peggy.
Yeah.
And Jones was all about like Peggy's was the new
girl.
Yeah, the new girl.
Like
at
didn't know he was
school.
like a weirdo, you know, like she didn't really know she's pretty type of deal.
But then starts fooling around with Robbie on the down
Yeah,
low.
and that's essentially what Jones sees that like sends him into the snap. It's not that his dad almost killed him and his mom didn't care.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he went back home. He told them, "Hey, I'm going to enlist." Dad
Snaps like and like literally is like
choking him out.
right?
And so like he hits
and
him
then mom's
over
like,
the spear.
"Go." You know, get out of here.
She's so stuck in that abusive relationship.
And he goes, girlfriends.
Goes
and
to Peggy's.
He just being a little creeper in the window watching Robbie, like, seduce her. And you're like, oh, okay. But, like, again, the way the snap happens is so interesting because it's not a true, like, you would see on Snapped.
Oh, yeah.
It's not, like, in a heat of the moment situation.
No, he kept talking himself into it because when he was in the car, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take the shoelaces from his cleats or whatever,
and I'm gonna
and
do it that
thing."
way."
But then he's like, "Oh, I don't know.
Maybe I could do this. I'm gonna follow him inside now." Like, so it was very much like he didn't really seem to care to talk himself out of it. It was more of like,
He starts thinking about it
more and more. Like gets in his
and then
head.
it gets rage.
And then it kind of like gets in your head too. You're like, well, like what really took you to that level? So it was very different than Welcome to Nightmare Island.
Yes.
Even though Jones is in Welcome to Nightmare Island, and they're both standalones.
Yes.
I think we should say that. It's
yeah,
just fun as a reader when they put another book in a book for me, right? So Welcome to Nightmare Island, completely different, right? You've got this guy that sends out invites to these like this paranormal group of friends that try to like debunk all the haunted places across the world.
Well, it's Jonah, and Jonah's the horror writer.
Yes, he's a horror author, and like, you know, so they send him out to this island, and it's sus from the get-go.
Oh my gosh.
And again, he wastes no time. Like right away, they get the invite, they're getting on the boat, and you're like on the island within 50 pages.
Yeah.
And I like that. I'm like, just get me to the fun stuff. But the whole, like, the idea with, like, the orb or the obelisk and the blue, like using magic and electricity to like keep them at bay, if
All
you
that
will.
technology.
Yeah, so that was cool. So essentially you could view the ghosts like if you were at a zoo.
Yeah.
And like speak to them and
Come into the Jurassic Park-esque of
yeah,
this book.
and why like 13 ghosts? Because like
Yes.
every ghost is so different. They're from different timelines, and they've just put them all on this island because there's really nowhere else to put them without them causing more misery or pain.
Honestly.
And it's just about the group of 5 friends staying there and what they see, and you know, shit hits the fan
Big
because
time.
like what book doesn't?
Big time. But I feel like Nightmare Island was a lot more gruesome in how it is, which makes sense.
Yeah.
With all of these
They're
ghosts and what's going
both
to happen.
gruesome.
True. Very true, but in
Different ways. Yeah, like Nightmare Island was kind of all over the place, gruesome wise, whereas
Yeah.
like Jones was very like,
You
I'm
knew
gonna
what was
beat
gonna happen.
when like when Jones swinging his mallet around, like you know he's gonna break every bone.
No,
like,
I will say with Jones though, he progressively got worse because at first it was like, I'm just gonna knock you out and just rage beat you, but then it got to the point where no, I'm gonna make sure all your fingers are like
broken
cut off,
and like
I'm writing on the walls and the names
with your fingers and like I'm gonna
uh-huh.
make sure that they're unrecognizable.
And he started like, oh my god, with Kyle with the tongue.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Tongue, so he can't
he couldn't
do
talk.
anything.
And
And
he's
then
like
scoops
trying
the
to
eye out.
scream, and it was like making him it's like making it worse for him. I was like, I hate you, Kyle,
more
but
brutal towards the end. But with Nightmare Island, I feel that my anxiety was higher because I was literally thinking, I'm like, oh, I see what Kara was saying that I would enjoy this because I am enjoying it. But this is creeping me because I was like, you show up and it's like in the middle of the nowhere. Like they had to go through and there was like no signal, nothing.
nothing. You have to
And
hand in your phones.
Well, like just that boat ride because there's nothing but fog.
Dude.
And just that
The
boat ride going
the creepy boat driver. I'm like,
and then like learning the backstory of this island. Oh my god.
that's also like a tragic story.
Yeah.
In itself, and they give us insight in the beginning about that, and then kind of like in the middle end of the book as well. But I thought it was really well done. Like,
Very
I
well
mean,
done.
I was very much like, I need to know what happens because I'm not going to be able to continue on with my life.
I had like typically I'm good at like I know we both are of kind of predicting like but
this is what's going to happen.
And I had a prediction, but it didn't happen. But at the end of the book, I was like, oh, there it is.
What was it?
With his family crest on the thing.
Okay,
And, like,
I was wondering.
I was like, but we don't know where great-great-grandpa is. And he was this notorious ghost hunter or whatever. And then at the very end, some dude comes up with the crest on a tattoo and on his hand. And I was like, that's Grandpa. Well, great-great-great-grandpa.
One of somebody in the lineage, right?
Yes.
But I was like, because they hinted at that in the beginning of the book. They talk about it in the middle of the book.
I thought it was going to be Maverick.
Yeah, they talk about it when not Maverick, but the other dude, Miles takes it.
Yep.
And then when they brought it up, I think it was almost was it in the epilogue?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I forgot about the crest. Like, because so much is going on.
Yeah.
They're running for their lives, and you're getting hit from, like, because it's a group of 5 people, but they all get split up.
Of course.
Once the ghosts, like, get let loose.
But at least with us, they planned on staying together. And they only got split because of the fog and it was
and the
raining.
forest, and it's dark, it's raining.
Storming, like
trauma,
but like he ends up tripping, and then everyone else kind of trips, and then they lose Maverick, and then they're all like, oh god, because they're getting chased by the hounds. So like
they kind of all just run because like you're running for your life. You're not like
in that moment. You're not thinking. You're like, I just need to survive.
You're not thinking like, oh, is Christina next to me? Like, love you,
but
but like
I gotta go.
Hope I'll see you like up there on the ledge.
This book made me think like, how would I do things differently? And honestly, I don't know if I would do anything different because like the trauma, it really I think is going to depend on your fight or flight.
Freeze, fight, or flight. Like which trauma response you have and which one's going to kick in.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
I thought it was great. So like we had And the first ghost that they saw was Bertha and her child, which is I think a 3 or 4-year-old, and she is very
Protective of that
very.
baby.
And
Nobody picks that baby up and lives.
Not at all. And then we saw Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Jones Jepson. The only thing I will say with Jones, though, and what we were talking about earlier, is that I was a little upset that he didn't have... Stop, thank you. He didn't have his top hat.
They described it as a different type of
bowler hat.
And I was like, where's his top hat?
I'm like, where's his top hat?
Because he's got to wear the top hat and a trench coat.
Well, and also how Miles was talking about, because he was giving background to each ghost, and Jones's, like, I felt was a little off comparative to, like, how it was in
the
Jones.
book. That's actually an interesting point.
Because we only heard, like, at the end of Jones, he's like, I'll be back. I'm like, okay, Terminator reference. See you then. But
I'll be back.
I was like, okay, cool. No doubt, like, I'm assuming, you know? But, excuse me, in Nightmare, his story was, oh yeah, he was doing this, this, and this, and he came from a small town, but, like, they didn't really dive
into, like, the like, horror aspect of what he did. Whereas, like, every other ghost had a very specific story.
Yeah.
And, like, they didn't really tell one of Jones's stories.
Yeah.
It was more of, like, he was just a psycho killer.
Yeah, like, oh, they were saying, like, dude with a mallet, blah, blah, blah. Crazy boy. And then we had the huntsman.
Yeah, with his dogs.
With his dogs, which gave me Resident Evil vibes.
Okay.
The first one with the dogs. Okay, baby.
I could see that.
Hey. So I was like, that's what I was thinking.
I could see
the Dobermans. That's who the dogs I was thinking of. And
I guess that's kind of what I envisioned in my head too. Now that you're saying Dobermans,
it's like the Dobermans, and they're all like eating up. And then we had Javier.
I was like, who was the dude in the morgue?
Javier.
Okay.
Because he wasn't wanting. No, he was in the house. The dude in the morgue was the huntsman.
Okay, that's
corner.
right. Yep.
But Javier was in the house, and Javier is the one where he didn't have to touch you. He had these powers where he can just look. He looks at you, and then you go into a rage.
Yeah, like nobody's home.
Nobody.
Right? It's almost like you're possessed.
Yes, but the only thing that was like you could think of is I need to murder, and that's
this
gonna be
person.
like my friends and family, because that's the only like itch that you can scratch. And then it was because Bertha and the child were in the infirmary.
Mm-hmm.
Huntsman in the morgue. Jones was in the asylum, so like above the huntsman.
And that's where the girl showed him.
Mabel. But Mabel, they originally saw. Thank you, honey. Mabel was in the library.
Yes, and her power was to show men like an alternate reality, right?
That could be good. Like you're on a beach
in Hawaii, beautiful women, but like in real life you're like dying and like suffering.
Yeah.
Or like you walk off like a ledge, right?
Well, that's what he's saying. Like, oh, you heard those stories about the woman in white walking by the side of the road at night, but then you're like in Hawaii or whatever, but now you're going off a cliff because you're still driving.
Yes, because she's just put your brain
Projection.
somewhere else. But when she does this in the book, it's not very ghostly because she's saving the human, and that is where I was like, Devin, I need some more information on Mabel.
Yeah, because like whatever she was doing to Miles when they're in the boathouse, but then like that broke because the sun was starting to come through the fog.
Yes.
And she was like, oh, I don't like this.
I don't like this sun.
But the fact that she showed him
how to escape.
Thank you, honey. Like where you need to like go.
I thought it was super cool that she showed them, but I was like, I need to know why. And that was one of the things he didn't really answer for us.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was open to interpretation and I missed it.
Well, you're saying the interpretation with Mabel.
I feel like maybe he left it open, but I didn't. If he did, it wasn't like left open enough for me to pick up on it.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean?
We're usually good about that, but no, I agree.
It was enough for us to question why, and then I'm like, but why didn't you give me the answer?
Why did it just hit me? Like, okay, I've been comparing Nightmare Island to 13 Ghosts, like just because how fun that is. What if she's like an innocent? Like now,
trapped there?
No, not like trapped. Like obviously she's a bad ghost,
okay.
like for the shit that she's done. But what if she's recognizing that and just like wants to be free now? Like the innocent in 13.
Okay.
You know, because
All right.
Because she's standing there and like she wasn't doing anything malevolent.
That's
Like
true.
in the library, she's like pouting, like, "Hello."
Yeah.
You know, like,
And she was more or less like one of the she was
the
one of the nicer ones.
ghosts.
Okay. I could accept that.
Right? Like, here, get off this island. Like, you're not supposed to be here. I don't want to be
I don't want to be here. Interesting.
I don't know if that's...
I could accept that, though. I mean, that's enough for me to be like, okay.
Like, that's the only thing I can really think of. And then, last ghost was the Black Witch.
Oh, I forgot about her, the most evil of the ghosts.
Yeah, and the fact
she was in the
crypt.
crypt. Dude, I messaged her on Teams. I'm reading this, like, we're working, right? And I'm reading, and I'm like, what's the difference between a crypt and a mausoleum? And she's like, I don't know. And then she replies to me on Teams, and, you know, you're like, the crypt is underground. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, the crypt is underground. They had to walk underground to get to it. It's not the standing up buildings.
No.
And so I'm kind of like laughing because I'm asking her, and I'm like, I could have Googled it. But no, I was like, I'm going to ask Christina.
So I was like, I want to assume, because, like, I thought back to, oh my God, the Crypt Keeper.
The Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, and I'm like, where is he usually at? In a goddamn crypt.
Yep.
But, like, where, like, trying to, like, recognize, like, did we go down?
See, and I was thinking,
like,
mausoleum in my mind.
And those are, like, all of them where they're above ground. They're still in there, but a crypt is down. But, like, the Black Witch, that gave me such foreign movie, Korean, Taiwan, you know, how, like, contortionist moving around.
It made me wonder if he's gonna write a book about her.
Which I think would be fun.
Because I think that there's a lot to her story.
Yeah, she was the most powerful. She was chained in the crypt with, like, in a coffin type, like a stone coffin with like a 3,000-pound lid, chained. And then, like, everything happens. The orb goes out, so obviously, like, the ghosts converge. And then they're having to climb through, trying to get to where they need to go. And then they go in. They have to go through the crypt. And all they see is, like, the chains are broken.
And the lid slid off.
No, the lid is, like, across the row, like, thrown. And we're like, oh, shit. And then they run into it. And then Maverick, poor Maverick, ripperoni, my guy, but she was pissed. Because all you would hear is the shrieking. But she was using, like, echolocation, which I thought was great.
I really would like to know more about her. And I looked, like, you know, like what other books he has. And, like, I don't see it. But, like, that is our request, Devin.
We want to know more about the ghosts.
We really want to know more about the Black Witch, specifically.
The Black Witch, yeah.
That was fun.
And Mabel.
Yeah, and Mabel. So if we could maybe get some books on those. I'm just kidding, but
hurry up.
Wink, wink. But yeah, I mean, I feel like he's a fairly newer author. I think Nightmare Island was written last March of like 2023.
I think so.
Yeah, and Jones was published in October of 23.
But honestly, if he's going to keep writing books like this, he's going to be one of my tops.
Yeah, like, I mean, these are great books. And they're so, like,
they're short reads,
yeah,
too.
you just get right into it.
Yes.
There's no...
It's just enough background where I'm like, cool,
fill you in.
I know what I'm doing. Like,
it's not enough to make you be like, no, I need to know this. Like, it's what you need to know and then the story.
Yeah.
He doesn't put a lot of, like, fluff.
Filler.
Yeah, that's, like, not needed. If it's there, it's needed.
Yeah.
For him.
It gets the emotion across of what's going on, which is what I really enjoy. So
I don't know. I gave both of these 4-star ratings.
Oh yeah,
personally,
for sure.
Because I love them both, and again in their very different ways. Very different books, but very fun. Very fun reads.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be reading more from you, Devin.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I can't wait to get my copy of 1963.
Yeah, I think these are going to be 2 books that I'm actually going to purchase because I did read them on Kindle Unlimited. But if I like a book that much, I'm going to purchase an actual physical book.
I read them on KU, and then I bought his signed version of 1963 because he has a deal on his signed books. They're not that.
Not like super crazy. Oh, I'm down for that.
Nope.
I am down. I'll get some of those.
I know if like you're gonna sign a book for just like a couple extra bucks.
Yeah, dude.
I will pay the couple extra bucks. Now, if you're asking like $70 for the book with your signature? Probably not.
Yeah.
That's not what he is asking. So I was like, I would like a signed book.
Yeah.
Especially, I liked Jones more. That
I'm
was
probably
my
gonna, I'm probably gonna get a
preferred.
signed Nightmare.
And I knew you were gonna like Welcome to Nightmare. I was in the bath and I literally had only been reading for 30 minutes, and that's when I texted you, and I was like, you are going to love this book.
Yeah.
I wasn't even into the part where like we're really like meeting
Going on.
all the ghosts, and I was like, girl, you gonna love this book.
I love it. I love it. I really enjoyed it too.
It
I
was
really
fun.
did.
I'm glad. I don't know.
It was on Facebook. We started talking to them on Facebook.
I was gonna say I'm in that like psychological thriller book recommendations
yeah.
group on Facebook, and I've been seeing a ton of newer authors in there, and they're recommending their own books, right? And I'm like, promote your shit, like do that, right?
Yeah.
And then if they seem to their genre fits our needs, I'm like, let's check it out. And then I'll be like, I would like to buy one, right?
I will say that the authors that you've been like tagging, you're tagging me under their posts.
Yeah.
Like, we need to read this for the podcast. Like we've had a few where they're like, well, can't wait. Like, thank you so much. Like the fact that you're responding to us makes me so happy, and it makes me even more excited because that means that you want people to be active in, what's the word I'm looking for? Not like reviewing. Well, obviously reviewing, but
in like reading and talking, like
Coming
having
with the
a community of your books, right?
That's what
like,
it is.
And a community of readers. And so, kind of like piggybacking off that, we also read, and this will be our next episode probably, but we read Venue and Intercepts by T.J. Payne, which was again an author that I hadn't heard of, and I was seeing recommendations on the same Facebook group. I picked up Intercepts.
Killian.
I read through it, and I opened the Venue, and I think that has been my favorite book so far this year.
Venue was so good.
I was doing the like kicking my feet and giggling, and Chris was like, "Is that a smut book?" And I said, "Nope."
Everyone dying.
I was like, "Nope." He's like, "What's going on?" I'm like reading a couple of like the scenes, and he was like, "Why are you laughing at that?" I'm like, "Well, like, dude, you haven't been here the whole book."
Yeah.
Come back to me later.
And I can't wait till we do like record for that, because I'm sorry, with reading the Venue, it was so good, and like of course I try to put myself in like those people's shoes, and I'm like, bitch,
I would have been doing.
Person. I know none of you here, or if I do know you, you're an asshole, and you go.
You're going. I want my ticket out the door. Okay, I want them to wipe my memory.
We'd be teamed up. Like, all right, you want this one? I'll get this one.
We'd be under the table. I'd be like, ready, set, and then I'd be like, wait, whoever gets the fastest kill gets a bonus sleep aid on the way out. Like, pop out. We end up just taking out the whole room.
Honestly,
the people are like, did they just kill everybody? And must be the bride and the groom. We were like, sorry.
Love you, bye.
Great party.
So good. No, but I cannot wait for more from Devin. He's becoming up there, like, because
it was good.
So good.
Very, very provoking, emotional, anxiety, terror-wise.
Yes.
So would suggest both of them.
Yeah. If you want something that's more just one person going off, it would be Jones. But if you like the
ghosts, paranormal,
Ghosties, Jurassic Park, it's definitely read Nightmare Alley.
And like I thrive in a thriller mystery book. Yeah. That is my go-to, right?
I'm more of like straight horror and gore.
I absolutely loved both of these. So I was like, and neither of them felt very like thriller-esque. Yeah. Right? Because you know what's going on. Yeah. But the horror genre is really starting to speak to me lately, and I'm like, ooh.
And I have a list that I gave.
It. Well, I've been just like picking horror books lately because I'm about to start Throne of Glass, and
we're going through that series, y'all.
Before I even like pick it up, I have to have this like horror kick out of the way. Like, I tried to start it again today. I've tried to start it 3 times, and I'm like, I'm in the mood for horror.
Yep, and that's exactly after reading Devin's work. That's how I'm like, okay, now I want to jump back in and read. It's a lot of the horror like books. some of them are novellas, I guess you can say, but they're just shorter, on the shorter side.
They are on the shorter
and
side, I've noticed.
I do like that. But like, just get to the point.
Get to the point, get to the good stuff, let's rock and roll.
Yes. And I will say, like, I haven't read the Throne of Glass series. I read ACOTAR before you, and we read Crescent City together. So, Throne of Glass series is like...
It'll be interesting.
It's going to be a journey. It's so long.
And they're big.
And they're big. And they're,
She calls them novellas, and I'm like...
Those are not novellas.
It says on them that they're novellas, and I'm like...
Unless we're thinking that novellas are something different, but I don't think they are.
I thought it was a small book or show.
I thought it was like,
or short, small or short, but...
we'll Google it later.
I don't know. We'll check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be back. We'll do some like TJ Payne since we've gotten into him as well. And then we'll hop back and like, I think we have some other books to do. Because we never finished like.
Oh, we got to do The Troop.
Yeah, we got to do The Troop.
Goodness. From Nick Cutter.
Dude, that was so
That was so good.
But yeah, so we'll be back with a couple more books and movies. We watched Nun 2.
Yep.
And
it lives inside. And technically we had those recorded, but then everything happened with the audio, so we're going to re-record.
We're just going to re-record them because they sucked anyways.
Yeah. Well, no, they were fun, which I'm super bummed about, but we just could not hear Kara with
I meant the movie sucked.
Oh,
not
well,
the recording. I was like...
No, and I was like, his Kara's mic just went... But you see, for those who are watching, we have a new mic.
And it
it's
changes
pretty.
colors.
So we should have no problems anymore. We don't have that two mics, so it's great. So,
but yeah,
we'll get those re-recorded, and they'll be sweet and simple.
Yes,
and we'll go
as
from
we
there.
are.
Yeah.
You're like, broken. Yeah.
We're good.
All right.
You'll see more of that in the background.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you'd like to see more from us, you can find us on Instagram at The Midnight Babes Podcast and on TikTok at The Midnight Babes. Stay spooky, friends.